the ghoul of Squad 00, the assassin like no other. Yes, I'm the best at what I do. It's here to bring you a video I was tagged in over last week, sometime last week, not this week or last week, but y'all get the point. What motivates me to do videos? I don't know how I'll title it, but that's the gist of it. I was tagged by LewiSenpai. He tagged, let's see, I think Jiroche, a few other cats. I don't know, I forget. It's been since like last Saturday since I watched a video or something like that. And so this video should have came out earlier, but it is what it is. I do what I want, when I want to, how I want to, on that Luffy status. He's Luffy. Alright. Now this video, more or less, I told Louis, Louis my dog, and homie, and I told him that this would kind of sort of stem off my Q&A number 1. Q&A number 2 will come out sometime or another. I don't know whenever I feel like it, whenever I ask questions. Kind of sort of talked about it. Which other video was that? Nah, I can't even remember, but it doesn't matter. I kind of hinted at stuff. But what actually motivates me, without further ado? Number 1, why I'm in this community. Okay. That's where I should be. Why I'm in this community. I'm in this community to talk about something I guess I'm more or less passionate about, something I love. It's not one of my top loves, but I do love literature, I love fiction. Grew up with it, born and raised with it, more or less. Fiction is part of, like, the way I think I can come up with worlds and stuff in my mind. Like nothing, can come up with characters and stories, and it just makes a lot of sense. The arts overall, the arts make the most sense to me. That would be a whole separate discussion, but pretty much I just love the arts. Music specifically, music's one of my absolute loves, one of my 4 loves I call them. Pretty much God, people, which covers a lot of things, sports and music. Okay, do love the martial arts as well. Advocate, support that, but you know, not an active participant. That's along the same lines, just things I love. And literature, you know, discussing with people of common interest, it's part of human nature. We're social creatures. We want to discuss things, and people from all different viewpoints. I do love that. Okay. Sometimes people see things that I miss. Sometimes I get educated on certain things. I get introduced to certain genres of stories, manga specifically, anime sometimes, but mainly manga. Yes, for the last several months I've been manga over anime, and I've explained that in past videos. I just love it, man. And now on some King A stats, I do this for love. No, I literally do this for love, because I don't really get paid for this, man. I really don't. I'm not bragging or anything. I just don't. I'm a small channel. I didn't expect much. 400 plus, 500 videos, somewhere around there. You know, not all of them are reviews, but just why I do this. I do it because I love it. It is more than a hobby. This is an extension of my life. I started because I thought, okay, the real reason I started specifically reviewing is because I wanted there to be a fair voice, there to be an unbiased voice. Now, some people call me fanboy towards certain characters. That's because they don't understand my position, they don't understand the arguments and the points I present. Okay, they don't want to deal with logic, reason, facts, and evidence. That's the model I bring, but the logic's inconsistent a lot of times. I'm not calling out any one person, but the logic's inconsistent. Not in all people, you know, but certain times they will throw exceptions, you know, and I don't like to throw exceptions. I base things off of, and I hold constant to my criteria unless there's information presented which changes things, which doesn't happen too often. Let me put it that way. Okay, because I simply try to follow the logic that the author or the mangaka presents to us. You understand what I'm saying? Or whoever's making the content. I follow the logic that's set up and the execution. And when that goes awry, when that just totally deviates, what can I say? I'm gonna call it out. I'm gonna be critical. Now, I've heard a lot of, like I've said in the past, in the anime manga community as a whole, all over, 95% of fanboys. which is worse in the YouTube anime and manga community, because YouTube anime and manga community, there are 98% fanboys. You're gonna find a rare breed that don't fanboy. I'm one of those rare breed. Okay. Now, I'm not knocking fanboys. Tards where nobody has problem. Nobody got time for tards. But to say making videos, like I say, I like to bring an intellectual, intelligent discussion to the table. I like to point things out that I see, thoughts in relation to actual life. See, there's a lot of times people don't understand. They want to keep it to the manga, but some don't like how I bring real world topics. Well, what the hell do you think the authors sometimes doing? They ain't just writing for pure entertainment. They're actually presenting, especially when they're presenting their themes and concepts in the story, whether philosophical and or psychological. Okay. Let's see. Sometimes historical themes that they're presenting. Sometimes literary allusions as well. Okay. So I like to bring these things into the situation. I like to bring in a perspective which is rare, because here's the thing, man. Unless you actually get to know me, really talk it out, get to know how I get down, you will not understand the way I think. It's just impossible. Trust me. And that's pretty much for anybody, but me specifically, because I have a very complicated, complex way of thinking. Those who know me understand this. I understand this about myself. It's not a bragging thing. It actually makes things very difficult at times, and communication can be difficult. But, you know, it's a work in progress. You know, it's something I've been dealing with since childhood. I recognized it when I was young, as a kid. You know, didn't recognize it fully, but I recognized it. And so, yeah, man, that's pretty much it. And as far as in other motivation, let's see, the love, because I want to talk to people, want to have conversations with people, because I want to have voice, because my voice, I tend to be put into a leadership role. Sometimes I kind of go in, but I tend to be put in a leadership role. That too. One of the other things is I'm an anomaly, and I want to continue to be an anomaly in this community, as well as on YouTube, as well as in life, but specifically in this community, because there's this thought process that you know, only the big time reviewers, as they're called, those not even 10, well, it's kind of dropped to 10,000, you know, 100,000, 30,000, 200,000, you know, whatever, maybe 50,000, pretty much 5,000 and over, specifically 10,000 and over. They're the only ones with the real voice, the real power to pull in this community. And I want to say, no, screw that. Someone who can be respected, who has a small channel. Of course I want to expand, you know, I want to grow, but do I expect to ever be the biggest? No. And do I want to? Not necessarily. Because I don't think that being the biggest doesn't necessarily involve success, because there's ways, you know, I don't want to be explicit, but you know, to suck off somebody, to, you know, use tactics that are kind of cheap, or you can buy your way to the top. There's a few different methods to get, you know, big. Some people just get lucky. I just be real. I've seen it on YouTube time and time again. We get lucky. But at a small channel like myself, to where dudes recognize me, okay, dudes respect me, okay, dudes will listen to what I have to say, because I'm not bringing immature discussions in. Even if you have a disagreement, plenty of people disagree with me, but they will talk to me again. And if I am happening to be wrong, which occasionally happens, I'll be the first to admit that. Dudes correct me. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. I'm not arrogant and a humble guy. It's just who I am. It's part of the nature of who I am. And I'm a skeptic to everything and everyone. Okay? And I also bring that skeptical notion, that skeptical perspective, worldview, whatever you might call it, to the table. I bring in where a philosophical level, where a lot of people don't think quite at the level I do. It's not a bragging. It just is, that's how it be. Different types of people. You have simpler thinkers. You have logically based, mechanically based thinkers. You have very abstract thinkers, very creative thinkers. You have thinkers like myself who are kind of very balanced. And it's just, it gets very interesting. Different personalities and whatnot. And other things I could say later, because I do have a video I have to make of dealing with opinions. And one thing I will continue to say is, I don't bring opinions to the table. I have very few opinions in my actual life. I have a lot of views and viewpoints, meaning logic can be applied to it, meaning they actually are based on logic and reason and facts and evidence. Actual research is done by myself, actual knowledge is gained, and I constantly am discussing with people and upgrading that knowledge, okay? And a lot of times I ask questions. I also play devil's advocate, which a lot of times people don't catch on or have sarcasm involved. But sometimes, whether I agree with you, I sometimes question, because we should be questioning what is accepted, unless it's irrefutable. Very few things, very few things are irrefutable if you hold them up to scrutiny, okay? This is what I like to do. I like to bring in the scrutiny. I like to go against the trend when applicable, because I'd rather, flow. Everybody would rather flow, but I'll be the one to deviate. I've done that. Even on series, I'm not too violent now. I change my position sometimes when showing other things, but at the time, I don't just follow any flow. If you watch my videos, this is clear and simple. I don't care if most of the community says, because most of the community ain't me. Most community doesn't necessarily think at the level of intellect that certain individuals in this community does, okay? So, too many people are followers, too many people don't have the prerequisite knowledge or experience, because as I've said before, a lot of times there are too many young and immature people in this community. I'm not, like I said, no calling out anybody, but this is, you can go on and you can see. You can see from comment sections, you can see from videos made, and I'm trying to eradicate that foolishness, or at least combat it, okay? What else motivates me? Pretty much I don't give a damn. I get to that point, thick skin, because I've experienced a lot in my time on YouTube, as well as my time in life. I'm not the most experienced person in the world, but I have experienced quite a bit. I've observed plenty. Some God-given wisdom, and like I said, just a unique perspective on life. And since I bring a unique, or at least often different or radical perspective on life, I bring that into my views on literature and on things I watch. Okay, I also want to sometimes highlight some gems that others don't want to highlight, because people too often are about the popularity. It's like, I'm not knocking, but you'll see the same things being reviewed, and those will get pushed, whether it be even in seasonal anime. Like, if a group of people push that, people will gravitate towards that. I'll be like, you know what? Now, if it's a great series, I'm gonna call it on, I'm gonna talk about it, but I'm not just gonna review just because everybody else does it. No, I'm gonna do what I want. You understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, bring you quality discussions. Oh, and to the people about one last thing, to the whole thing about my videos and stuff. Once again, I'm not a professional. I don't really get paid for this. Okay, if you want to support me, you give me some bread, that'd be cool. I'll work on that webcam and whatnot. But I'm also in pretty much a transitional period in my life where things will change soon anyway. And like I said, I just keep it real. Just keep it real. And, I think pretty much everything I needed to say in this one. I expect you want to like, comment, subscribe, tell me your thoughts. Will I tag anybody? Probably not. If they haven't been tagged, they'll probably be tagged by another person. Shout out to LewiSenpai. Check out his channel. As you can see, if you go to my channel, he's in the must-see channels. Okay, the featured channels. Definitely worth checking out, amongst other people I recommend as well. What else need to be said? And much love. I appreciate it. As I always say to him, I appreciate it when he shows me love in the videos, and I'm glad that there are other individuals who in this community have logic, reason, facts, and evidence to back what they say. Even though they say it's opinions, they're not really opinion based. Okay, they actually know what they're talking about. They're willing to learn. They're willing to think intellectually. They're willing to put aside favoritism and fanboying and look at things. Yeah, they may like a character, but when something doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense, and they call it out. They're willing to use critical thinking and critique, and I appreciate them. All the time don't agree, but that doesn't matter. Okay, as long as we're able to come to a discussion as mature individuals, as adults, male or female, because trust me, I'm not sexist by any means. That's what I want. Okay, that's my desire. That's my motivation. At the end of it, that's my goal. And as long as people, keep watching the videos, keep supporting the channel, even a little bit, it helps. It gives me motivation. You guys, you support me. Because why else would I do this without viewer support? That's what dudes say, and it's true. It's true. I know it's called YouTube, but it can't just be speaking and making videos without people viewing and watching and actually sitting down and spending time. And I know some of my videos are long, really long. I know this because I spend the time and energy, but I also bring passion in, and I'm glad people respect that and in some cases admire that. I've gotten much support over time, and I ain't gonna say it be overly emotional, but you don't know how that affects people. So yeah, man. Alright, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful